What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Clippers Latest, where we talk all things LA Clippers quick, fast, and to the point. I'm your host with the most, Brandon Goggins. We're here back at it again with another fun episode for you guys. But before we get into it, of course, we're going to do our vibe check. How are we all feeling on this wonderful day today? I hope that your day has been going amazing. I don't have a second adjective to add to that today, so I just hope that it's an amazing day for you. And of course, if you're watching this later, I hope that you had an amazing day and are getting ready to have another amazing day tomorrow. But I'm doing a lot better than I was when I last left you guys. That Kawhi discourse just really grinded my gears there. So I just really had to let that emotion out. So I appreciate y'all letting me be vulnerable and get those thoughts off my chest because, man, I had them. I had them on my chest and they just had to get off. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate y'all listening to me rant. That's basically what I'm just here to do is just rant. And speaking of, I'm just going to get straight into it. I don't want to waste any further time because we have some important things to talk about. And I would like for you guys to give me your opinions on all of these topics. So without further ado, we're going to swing into our first topic. And of course, we are talking about some NBC sports. Former Clipper Jamal Crawford, arguably the greatest sixth man of all time, is getting a new teammate at NBC Sports. I don't know if you guys have heard, but a few weeks ago, we talked about Jamal being announced as a lead analyst for NBA coverage at NBC, but now the news just broke that none other than Michael Jordan himself, yes, Michael Jordan, is joining NBC as a special contributor. Jamal said that he was in New York when he heard the news, and it stopped him in his tracks, as it probably would anybody that was on the NBC crew. He compared it to when Jay-Z used to drop an album out of nowhere, and he would say that whenever that would happen, he would drop everything that he was doing and pay attention to that. He kind of compared it there, and I don't really rock with Jay-Z like that personally. But I understand where he's coming from, and I feel like that's a good analogy considering his age. No diss to Jay-Z out there. I hope my parents aren't watching because if they hear me dissing Jay-Z on the internet, they're going to be severely upset with me. But it's just not my type of, you know what I'm saying? It's just not mine. It's just not my preference of music. That's all. I respect him, kind of, and I think that he is an amazing artist for people that are not me. And I'm going to put it like that. Shout out my boy Sean Carter, man. Shout out Blue Ivy Dad. But Jamal Crawford is, I don't know if he would be considered, I think he's Gen X. So it tracks. Again, no diss to any Gen Xers out there watching. Got love for all my Gen Xers out there. Y'all are like my second favorite generation. But getting back on track here, Jamal even added that back when he was younger, the Wizards actually tried to trade for him while MJ was still playing, but it never went through. So this team up was kind of like destiny. It was fate just 20 years later. You know what I'm saying? So Michael Jordan, of course, is the GOAT in a lot of people's eyes. He's done commercials after retiring. He's done, he's been part of documentaries. He even had a documentary on himself. Shout out The Last Dance. And he's even owned a team, though we all know how, that went. Shout out the Hornets / Bobcats. But the fact is that, he's done some things. He dipped his toes in some other waters that weren't, directly on the court, per se. But now he's taking a new challenge. He's entering the TV industry, entering the TV world, and people are definitely going to tune in just to hear what he has to say. Kind of similar to Tom Brady, who became an NFL analyst for Fox after retiring. People widely consider him the GOAT, and even if they don't really think that he's, that good on TV per se, a lot of people are going to tune in just because it's Tom Brady associated with football, and you get to watch him be tied directly to football. It's kind of the same way here. We haven't seen Michael Jordan on a basketball court in years, and you know what I'm saying, seriously. And that's not exactly what we're getting here, but like this is like the closest that we're gonna see to him being to the current game since since he retired, honestly speaking, because yes, he was an owner, but how much were we really, seeing and hearing from MJ, even though he owned the Hornets? Um, just something to think about. But for Jamal, man, to share that desk with MJ, I feel like that's an amazing opportunity, and I feel like that's really a an accomplishment in his eyes. Like that's got to be really really cool. That's got to be like I can't even imagine how he's probably feeling. He probably grew up looking up to MJ, as a lot of players did. So this would be a full circle moment for him, and I'm glad that he gets that chance to do so. I'm curious to see how Jordan presents himself as an analyst, as I said, but it's going to be must watch regardless. So I'm excited to see him share his thoughts and takes on the current game. I've been very interested to see what he would think, or to hear what he would think about this current game. And speaking of the current game, let's talk about somebody that has dominated it in a sense for the past decade or so. And talking about the ISO king, the beard, James Harden. Of course. We've kind of talked about this before, but last year, 73.8% of James Harden's made field goals were unassisted. And that was the second highest in the entire league, behind more than likely Shea. And at 36 years old, to me, that shows that he's still an elite shot creator. And yes, he's still going to be the primary facilitator with the ball in his hands on most possessions, just due to the lineups that we're probably going to be running with. But here's the twist. We have Chris Paul back on the team, of course. And we know that they were teammates previously. And Harden might actually get some cleaner looks off the ball with Chris Paul being on the court. And we haven't seen that since 2018 to 2019, which is the last time they were together in Houston. And if Harden can can kind of mix his little ISO game with opportunities to catch and shoot or attack closeouts, I feel like that makes him a lot more dangerous. And I think that we need to be, well, we don't need to be scared of James Harden, but all other 29 teams need to be scared of James Harden, because he could do some serious damage this year. And he might not even have to, do it as much as people may expect, but it's the fact that he has the opportunity to. So I'm all for the killer Harden. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope that he does it. He's got the handles. He got the shot creation. And now he's got a running mate who knows how to set him up. They're familiar with each other's game. They are both seasoned vets, so they understand how to play basketball, but it's even better that they have the advantage of previously playing together, so they already understand and complement each other's game. So I'm really excited to see how that will work out. People love to talk about how Harden is slowing down, but the numbers say otherwise. Obviously, he's been in a different position in the last few years of his career, but he's still shown flashes of him, still being able to get things done on the offensive end. So this could be a big year for him, because that offensive arsenal just opened back up, and he's getting ready to, I was going to say something, but I'm not even going to say it. But it's just going to be on display. I'll put it like that. And transitioning to a kind of heavier topic, I kind of want to talk about the tough news of Fred VanVleet tearing his ACL. First things first, prayers up for Fred, sending all the positive and positive thoughts towards him, and anybody close to him, especially the Rockets team. I've never been the type to celebrate anybody's injury, and I don't think anybody should, especially when it's somebody as impactful as Fred. He was supposed to be the floor general in Houston, especially after they added Kevin Durant this offseason, along with a lot of other moves that they made this season to try and build a championship contending team. And that core with Durant, VanVleet, and the young pieces that they have fans thinking that they could really push OKC or maybe even take them out in the playoff series, really competing for a title. And now without Fred, it kind of gets a lot tougher. That road to the finals gets a lot tougher for the Rockets. And while they are still talented, they're missing their veteran presence at the point guard spot. And I think that is really unfortunate for them, and that could make or break their success. That's a type of player whose impact you will immediately feel when it's not there. So we can expect some Well, obviously, Amin Thompson was going to get more minutes regardless, but he's probably going to get more minutes at the one spot. They have Reed Shepard on the bench, who's probably going to see the floor more and perhaps get his opportunity to shine and show why he was picked third overall last year. Um, but I brought this up because this is something that, in a way, affects the Clippers. Um, I feel like Fred VanVleet's just his single injury kind of shifts the balance in the West in a way. And I don't want to sound like I'm like happy about this or like celebrating it, but like I'm just being real and keeping a realistic perspective on this whole thing. It opens a path for the Clippers to compete for a higher seed alongside the Thunder. Um, I already felt like our offseason moves put us in that top tier conversation, but now the window got a little bit wider just with Houston's point guard going down. And like I said earlier, that doesn't mean that they're just going to come out here and be trash. I don't expect that to be the case at all. I do think that they could still very well be a top 3, top 4 team in the Western Conference, and we haven't seen anybody play ball yet. So, there's no telling like what the standings are going to look like, but I'm just giving my, I guess, hypothesis. I think that with them being a little hindered, the Clippers may have a little bit of an upper hand to kind of climb the rankings in a way. And, of course, it's nothing but respect for Fred VanVleet. I really do hope that he can come back strong. Shams tweeted and reported that it's likely a season-ending injury, which most cases, like a torn ACL, would be. But, with it still being, no, because we've had several players tear ACLs and also Achilles, and those are two of the worst injuries that you can get in sports. So it's unlikely that he'll play next season. I know that Kyrie he tore his ACL kind of like in the second half, maybe third quarter of the season, late third quarter of the season last year, and he's not expected to play until I want to say like January. So with Fred being hurt this close to the season, it's looking pretty unlikely. But like I said, I'm still sending love, still sending positivity over to him. Hopefully he can come back strong. But it does change the Western landscape, and I did want to realistically acknowledge that. But going back to a lighter note, and also talking about injuries, but in more of a positive way, I want to acknowledge Bogdanovic. As we all know, or as most of us know, over the summer, Bogey unfortunately tore his hamstring while playing for Serbia in Eurobasket. But Lawrence Frank, I'm sorry, fans were immediately speculating and wondering if he'd be traded because this is a win now team, and a lot of people were kind of concerned about how long he may be out. And some people really wanted an immediate, result of this injury, in getting another spot up shooter, corner threat, on the roster to replace Bogey. But Lawrence Frank did not make a move, and it looks like that patience may pay off. The other day, the Clippers social media team recently posted pictures from practice, and there was Bogey in full gear, ball in hand, getting some shots up, and that's what we love. That's what we love to see. You know what I'm saying? That brings joy to my heart, and it definitely brings optimism to my eyes. My eyes are a little tired right now, but there's still a little bit of optimism in there, bro. I promise. And a lot of people may be like, well, you can be hurt and still be getting shots up, and like that's very true. But they also posted some pictures of Chris Paul, John Collins, and Bradley Beal in that same practice setting, same gear on, also getting some shots up. And I feel like, I hope that this isn't the optimism in me like overtaking my judgment, but I feel like that suggests that Bogey might be closer to game shape than people expected initially. Now, does that mean that he's going to be ready to suit up on opening night against the Jazz? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. But it definitely means that he's not going to miss as much time as we originally feared, and I think that's huge. for the Clippers because his shooting and versatility are going to be a big piece of this team. And, if he's ready to rock sooner than later, that just makes this roster even more dangerous. And I'm really excited to see the impact that he, along with everybody else on the team, can make this season. We are inching closer to the start of the season, especially preseason, which I'm very excited for. I believe tomorrow is media day, so be on the lookout for some media coverage, content surrounding that. Maybe we'll have some interesting pictures drop tomorrow, and we're going to talk about it. So that's going to do it for this episode. Be sure to leave a thought about anything that I've talked about today. Leave your thoughts on Bogey, what your expectations are for his injury return. Send some positive thoughts out to Freddie V. Hopefully he can have a speedy recovery. Like I said, I don't know what the timeline will realistically look like on that, but hopefully they're not out without him for too long, to where that window is closed. What do you think about James Harden reuniting with Chris Paul? What kind of opportunities do you think opens up there? And then last of all, what do you think about our boy MJ? Well, I guess he's not our boy, but Jamal Crawford is our boy. What do you think about our boy Jamal joining up with the GOAT at NBC? I think that'll be fun. I think that'll be an exciting watch. And we're going to be tuned in. You know what I'm saying? We got to tune in to NBC and Prime because we haven't forgot about Twin, BG, Blake Griffin. We got to, show love to all our former Clippers out there. But like I said, that's going to do it for this one, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed. As always, don't forget to hit that like button. And, of course, consider subscribing if you're new here. I'm going to get out of here. But y'all be easy. Y'all stay sleazy. And as always, keep it P. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Peace.